Hi, everyone. Nice to see you again. Just as a reminder, I am Sertrice Grice, and I'm co-founder and chief consulting officer of Mattingly Solutions, and I am also your NAWBO DEIB consultant. And today I'm joined by Jen. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen. For those of you that I don't know, I am the CEO of NAWBO and the executive director for the NAWBO Institute. And Sertrice, we are so very grateful for you. You are amazing.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I was brought in and that I've been able to join NAWBO and that you found me, Jen. It's been really great being a partner. And I know over the time that I've been here, I've learned a lot more about you, but I also know others may not know exactly who you are or how your relationship works with NAWBO overall. There's so many pieces. So could you just tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Yes. So I started with NAWBO probably about, I don't know, 12 years ago now. And we had an outsourced management company that was running the organization. And the board at that time had said, let's switch things up here. Let's not have an external entity running the organization. Let's bring it all internal. So I had a small business where I was doing nonprofit work for different organizations in my local community. And I was brought in with one of my clients that said, hey, NAWBO's kind of bringing the staffing infrastructure internal. Do you want to help us with that? And I'm like, that's so great. What's NAWBO? And as a small business owner, I had no idea. And then I started in that process of like getting to understand the organization and working in a myriad of different spaces. I think I learned how to do everything very quickly. There were only, I think, like 3 of us at the time on the staff. And I don't even know how many years later. It was about 8 years ago. We had gone through a couple of CEO transitions, and the board had said, will you step into this role? And I said, oh my gosh, that's very scary. But of course I will, because I loved it. I fell in love with the members immediately. I loved working with the board of directors. Their vision is so amazing. And the founders and the history of the organization is just so inspiring that I was like, oh my gosh, look what they did for us. And I had no idea prior. So I was super excited about that. And so now my main role is working with the board of directors to execute the strategic plan. And we have a 5-year working plan that we revise every year. And then we have our internal team that's amazing, and sort of working as a liaison between the team and the organization just to make everything go.
Awesome. No, thank you for that. That's really useful. I think I learned a little bit more, and I hope everyone else did too. And I know, again, one of the other things you did was help everyone meet me and bring me in to assist NAWBO National, but also, support the chapters in your DEI&B journey. So diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging efforts there. And so again, just as someone who, you're on staff, you're leading. So based off of what you know and the experiences that have happened so far with NAWBO and your DEI&B climate and efforts, and where you're hoping to go, how are you feeling about things? How are you feeling about things so far? Let's start there.
Well, first of all, as I said before, I'm so grateful for you, because I felt like I was looking for you for a really long time, and I didn't find you until I did. And that was like obviously the perfect timing. I feel like, we're doing a lot of really great things, and I think that's really amazing. On the flip side of things, we have a lot of work to do. And I think that, we're super intentional about knowing that until everybody feels like they belong, that all women business owners can see themselves and they feel like they belong as a part of the organization, we're not whole. And so that's going to take a lot of work, and that's going to take all of us, the national level, the local level, and everywhere in between, to really push forward to make sure that everybody feels like they have a place here. So, yeah. We're doing a lot of different things. As you know, the Candid Conversations, our next one is on April 28th. We have a town hall that's coming up, which I know you're helping with our DEIB committee do, on April 22nd. We have every month something new. We're working on getting all of our chapter leaders trained. We did a training with our board and our President's Assembly Steering Committee members. So just trying to be super intentional about making sure that we're all speaking the same language and that we're moving forward in the same direction.
Yeah. And I know I attended the first conversation that happened, the courageous conversation that happened, and that was really powerful. I've heard a lot of great feedback from that. And then also the training that people have gone through. And I know that it came out in one iteration and one group went through, and then it happened again. And I know we've had a few different touch points with people, and that's been actually a request, is can it be opened up to more and more people? So that seems like it's been a really great resource so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, and we need to do it. It's not, and the thing with NAWBO too is like we're consistently evolving and rotating. You know, our leaders come in and they're a part of the organization, and then some fall off and new ones come in. So there's always like the journey of learning, and how do we all do better in our space, in our leadership journey, and our with our chapter and in our communities and all of that. So I feel like the training will always be like just a part of who we are moving forward. And I'd hope to even branch it out too. I know that you and I have talked about this too. Like, how do we help our members as well? Like, is there different trainings we can offer for our members that are out there saying, hey, you know what, I really want to be more intentional about the DEIB work in my own company. I know all of the benefits it'll bring, and how do I do that? And so working out what that could look like to make sure that our members have what they need to.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's really key that you touched on right there is I know what people are seeing right now is a lot of the level setting that you're doing as an organization to make sure you have the structure in place for NAWBO as an entity. But then also the next level is making sure that chapters have what they need for their own entities, right? And being able to support their members. But NAWBO in itself, it is for women business owners and for them to have resources to do better internally in their businesses. And so making sure that that's another layer that's being considered is how are you looking internally in your business and making a diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment, and making sure your employees feel like they belong, and what do you need to get there and why does it matter? And so making sure that conversation is touching on all three of those layers is something that I think gets missed a little bit. So I'm really glad you called that out.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about it. I feel like that'll just make the organization as a whole much stronger and much more unified. The other thing too, like, as you mentioned, like the local levels and doing the work that they're doing at the local levels, I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of those that have been able to figure out like getting their DEIB committee set up and finding a chair to lead that. And for those that haven't, that are still thoughtful about it, I just feel like it's so on the ground is where the members first experience the organization. It's their very first taste of, is this for me? And is it, or is it not? And I'm so grateful for all of the volunteer leaders that step in to serve in this capacity, because they're literally running their own business and running a nonprofit at the same exact time. And with all these other things to be considerate about, it's a lot. And so I just am like always inspired about the work they're doing locally to try to make a big difference.
Yeah, there have been some really amazing things happening at the local chapter level. And one thing that I've enjoyed seeing happen there too is we have these now monthly calls where we're checking in with the leaders, those committees, and giving them updates from the National DEIB committee, but also hearing from them. And it's a great chance for them to crowdsource and share their successes, but also questions, because it is new for all these chapters to have this role or position or angle and figuring out and navigating what they could be doing for their own chapters. And I just love that like I said, the crowdsourcing that's happening and brainstorming to set them all up for success. That's been really great.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of the things that we do the best. And I know that you're probably going to ask me a question about the survey that we just did in a minute, but I was just going to say, like, just the camaraderie that happens when the community is able to experience us at the national level, and then how that trickles all the way down. What we do the best is really uniting spirits and connecting hearts. And, it's like, yeah, we do amazing advocacy work, and that's the heart of who we are, really. But the spirit of who we are is the connectivity of all of us coming together to make a difference, and sharing what we know and learning what we don't. And I think that's just what makes the organization so very beautiful, is that crowdfunding, as you say, the crowdfunding of the spirit. Yeah. I love it. And I also like that you mentioned the survey, because that was definitely the pivot that I was about to head into. So as all of you know, I'm sure there were a lot of posts about it. Earlier this year, NAWBO completed its Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging survey. And that was a check-in with members to see how they're feeling about DEI&B. And I know those results have been looked at in chapters. If they had enough responses, have received a copy of their data. And we're going to be releasing the summary of the national results here this week is the goal. And so that should be coming out. But just as a little, and we've given a couple of sneak peeks along the way, but just checking in with you, Jen, when you saw those results, was there anything that stood out to you, either negative or positive? Anything that was maybe surprising or that you want to highlight? I would say the first thing was, oh, shoot, not enough people did it. I was so bummed about that. Like, I really was hoping, like, I want to hear from everybody. And so those of you that filled it out, thank you so much. Thank you for giving us a glimpse of what's happening locally and how you're feeling nationally. Like, we're so grateful for that. For those of you that missed it, next time, please, 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 like, do it. I feel like I really wanted to set a benchmark for this is where we are and this is where we need to go. And I have a small idea. I mean, obviously in the responses that we got, we know that we have a lot of work to do. But what I was super grateful for was mostly everybody felt like they could do national events and local events, and there wasn't anything that prohibited them from doing that. There was a lot of strength at the chapter level where members felt like they belonged there. I really loved that too. I think opportunities are more along the lines of belonging and really focusing on that. How do we do a better job at the national level of making sure that the members at the local level understand what it means to be a part of a national community, and that when they come to the national events, they feel embraced and they feel loved and they feel appreciated and listened to and heard and all of that. So, I mean, I think overall there's a lot of work to do. And I'm just excited for the next survey to come out, to show just to see where are we now and what more do we need to do? Because I feel like, as I mentioned before, this is a journey. It's like we're going to keep having different experiences and learning different things and figuring out different ways to make sure that we're doing better. And so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I know that was a question that came up when we were in Arizona, and we kind of started to talk about the survey results, and people asked, I said, oh, there weren't a lot of responses. And now we've done the math, and it was
like 7%, I think.
7%. Yeah. And so that's pretty low and unfortunate. And like you said, we want to hear from everyone. Mm-hmm. But I think what's important to notice and to focus on is that we still have 7%, we had hundreds of responses. And so it's really important for us to still look at that data and see what it's telling us and really dive into those areas of strength and opportunities. And so, like you said, I thought, for me, one of the things that also did stand out was just that across the board, no matter how they identified, everyone felt they could assess, accessibility wise, they had access to events and could participate. And I thought that was really great to hear, especially given, the environment we've been in the past couple of years and all of the flexing that's had to happen. So that was really great. And that overall, everyone thought DEI&B is important, and so that was a really great thing that came out. But yeah, I think the interesting story was just looking and seeing that when we did start to touch on those feelings of inclusion and belonging, we started to see the scores go down than just importance. And then again, once you looked at that from chapter level to national level, it went down more. And so it's really important for us, I think, dive into that. And I know that's some efforts that the committee is looking into, and at a national level we'll be focusing on. But chapters had some room for growth too. And I'm really glad that there were at least some chapters who had enough responses that we could get them that data and they can take some ownership too. And so we can attack it from all sides, where we're taking that national perspective and seeing what we can do as national staff to support members, but then also locally, what could be going on to get people what they need.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think, it takes all of us. Like NAWBO was built as a grassroots organization where someone reaches out their hand and brings another in, and I think that's what it's going to take. And once we get them in, we're including them, but how do we make them feel like this place has my heart here? You know what I mean? And I think that is an intention that each one of us have to have in our own spaces and our chapters nationally at any event that we're attending. Like, how do we make sure that we're just really touching hearts here and that everybody feels like they're a part? So I'm so glad that we did that. And thank you for your help with all of that analysis. I mean, there were so many numbers and things. So.
It was a lot, but we got there. Yeah. One last kind of look ahead for everyone in regards to the survey. And again, that data is going to come out soon, but there is a plan to continue some actions and also to build on actions that are already happening. And they fall into three major buckets. And so one is to develop and provide resources to members and chapters. So those internal or chapter level DEIB leaders already know about some of this, but there's toolkits that have been released to support. We're working on an inclusion code of conduct that's coming out that people can rely on. And then there's also, a provider list so people can have resources. Who can they go to externally to support them in these efforts? So really just wanting to make sure that people have the resources they need. And so those are a few things that we either know people want and are going to work on or have already even started providing. And then on the other side, similar but different, is providing education and training.
Mm-hmm.
So we mentioned those trainings that have happened already and ongoing. So continuing to do that for staff and chapter levels, and also building events or sessions into national events. So we did, like that dessert reception, and I did a little talk when we were in Tempe at the Leadership Academy, but also building it into the conference in October and so on. So education and training. And then the third big bucket is just continuing to listen, because what Jen was getting at, that's so important, right, is the power that NAWBO has between community in its community. And so it's important for national organization to listen. So doing events like this in the town hall and so on, and being able to share transparently, but also listen and hear what's coming from everyone else. But then there's also other ways, having there's a DEIB email for NAWBO that people can reach out to. There's the hotline and so on, and just looking for ways, how do you want to get us your information, and how do you want us to get information out to you? So really working on communication. So that's some of the actions that we've had and that we are looking forward to as well. But before we I'm going to see if anyone, I know we have a couple people tuning in, so I'm going to give you a chance. If you have any questions, you can drop it in chat. We're happy to answer any questions or address any comments before we wrap up today. But before I look at any questions, Jen, any other thoughts you have about the future and where you're hoping NAWBO will go in regards to DEI&B?
Well, we have our 2025 goal, our 50th anniversary, that's coming up, to be the most inclusive and diverse organization. And that is the belonging piece too. I mean, I can't say that enough. That's what makes it work. So I would say that's our big goal. And that's a lot of work that we need to do to get there. So I would say thank you, all of you that are on this journey with us, that are making this possible for us to do this. Thank you to the DEIB committee that's working so hard. I mean, they get together every week sometimes. So I'm so grateful for all of the volunteer leaders that are doing all that they can to make this a reality for us too. And again, the chapter leaders and the national board. I mean, there's just so many amazing volunteers that make this organization run. And it's really quite extraordinary. So thank you to everybody that's helping us do that, because at the end of the day, if one person feels like they don't belong, and I know that they're always like, we can't look at just the one, but I do look at just the one, you know what I mean? I want you to feel like you're a part of this. It's really important to me. So how do we do that? How do we get everybody? And I think that's going to be the trick, but I think we can do it.
No, I think that's great, and it's really exciting. And one other thing I just want to shout out to anyone who's listening now or listening back later is that, just going back to that goal of being the most, diverse, inclusive organization. And one of the things that's important for that is for us to have that data and know how diverse we are, right? That's something that organizations often like to claim and want to claim, but they don't even know what their identity makeup is. And when it comes to NAWBO being a membership organization and you have member profiles, I'm doing a little plug here. We have ways to collect that data, and we want to collect that data. And so it'd be really, really great if everyone, can take that time and effort to go in and update your profile and have those different pieces of your identity in there, because we want to see who are people of all identities feeling welcome and actually joining and staying. So just a little plug there. Can't help myself. I love data. If you can get it to us, I'm gonna be happy about it. But enough from that. I know we had at least one question pop in. Again, if anyone else has any questions, feel free to drop them, put in a comment. I'm keeping an eye on that before we wrap up here in a couple of minutes. And so Rosalind, hey, nice to see you. Nice to chat. And so I noticed you said you received your chapter report and you were wondering how many members replied. And that is a really great question. And if it was not noted in your report, definitely, if you just want to even reply back to the email that sent it to you and go ahead and just request that, if they can tell you the overall they'll get you, and that's response count, but overall how many people responded for your chapter, we'll be sure and get that information to you. Yeah. Definitely a good question, because it's important to know that if you're looking at your data, knowing, was it 5 people versus 20? Of course, no problem. You're very welcome. Any other questions before we get ready to wrap up? We wanted to keep it pretty short and sweet today. Just like a quick check-in, hello, give you a chance to ask any questions. But like I said, hear a little bit more from myself. And also Jen, I'm gonna pick on you, Jen. She likes to hide. She's like, I'm just here to support the members. No one cares about me. And I'm like, people care about you. You're a leader here. You gotta, and so I just thought it'd be fun to make her come out and say hello, and just show, everything. She's had a hand in things too. That's another thing. As we're getting ready to wrap up, I just want to thank you, Jen, as the leader of staff. Right, we're just gonna. It may not be what you want to be focused on, but it is what you are, and you have put in just as much time, effort, and energy as the committee that you thanked, as myself, and so it's really important to have you there leading this charge and giving the support. And I think you do it in the right way. You're there, you're lending your support, but you're also giving the DEIB committee, which is member led, right? Yeah. You're giving them that space to do the work and to do it right. So I just want to thank you for, giving them the tools and resources they need to complete the mission that we've talked about today.
Yeah, totally. And just to your point too, like I truly believe from the bottom of my heart, this is a member-led organization. It's by the members for the members. I'll do whatever I need to do to facilitate that, which is why I always feel like it's always great to give the board members, the volunteer members, the opportunity to really shine and show who they are, and teach them different skills and public speaking and all of that. So I don't hide intentionally. I really, what I do, I really do want to have this be about the members for the members, and that I think that was the intention when it initially started. So I just want to be true to that mission.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. All right. Well, I know we are about 20 minutes in. Like I said, I want to keep it pretty short today. So I don't see any other comments. So we're going to get ready to wrap up. Thank you again, Jen, for hopping on with me today. I really appreciate it. This has been really fun. And thank you to those of you who were able to join us live or who are watching a recording later on. And so I think that's it. We'll get ready to wrap up, and have a great rest of your afternoon, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks, Sertrice.
Bye.